If you wanted to pick up the phone and call Michael Jackson, can you dial Pluto direct, or could you reach him like other Earthlings couldn't?
Beep, beep, beep. Yes, I could. I have a special power to do that.
What would he be like?
Michael is very, very sweet, very soft-spoken, likes to talk. He gets so excited every time you talk to him. He's a very soft sort of voice, and he always says, "Oh, Brooke, I'm sorry." He's always so happy to talk to you, and he wants to know what you're doing. But he's very actually there is no but. There's just a very genuine innocence that he has, that he has protected and sheltered himself from so much, that's been maintained.
You know, Michael has such a wonderful way of looking at the world, and he has an innocence about him that just enables him to revel in flowers and children and animals, and he's just, I mean, he talks about his work a little bit, but he really just talks about things that make him happy. I mean, we have long discussions just about everything.
So he's quite a regular person, then?
He really is, and he's, well, regular in the sense that, not regular in the sense that he's not jaded.
Yeah.
And I find that many people in this business have a tendency, it's easy to become jaded.
Easy to become cynical,
yes.
bitter.
Because I think people need to hear him speak, and I think they will only be even more warmed by his presence. They'll be more pleasantly surprised. As the people that already love him will just love him more. Those who don't think they love him will just come away loving him. I mean, my advice to him, which I've even told him personally, is to just be himself, because that's what people are going to love.
Michael was one of a kind. Thinking back to when we met and the many times that we spent together, and whenever we were out together and there would be a picture taken, there would be a caption of some kind, and the caption usually said something like an odd couple or an unlikely pair. But to us, it was the most natural and easiest of friendships. I was 13 when we met, and from that day on, our friendship grew. Michael always knew that he could count on me to support him or be his date, and that we would have fun no matter where we were. We had a bond. And maybe it was because we both understood what it was like to be in the spotlight from a very, very young age. I used to tease him and I'd say, you know, I started when I was 11 months old. You're a slacker. You were what, 5? Both of us needed to be adults very early. But when we were together, we were two little kids having fun. We never collaborated together. We never performed together or danced on the same stage. Although he did try in vain one night to unsuccessfully teach me the moonwalk. And he just basically just shook his head and crossed his arms at my attempt. We never filmed a video or recorded a song, but what we did do was laugh. It was always a competition to see who could make the other one laugh more or be sillier. Michael loved to laugh. His heart would just burst out of him when he was laughing. He adored it when I did silly imitations or told him stories about my life. MJ's laugh was the sweetest and purest laugh of anyone's I had ever known. His sense of humor was delightful, and he was very mischievous. I remember it was the night before Elizabeth Taylor's wedding, and he had called me prior and asked if I would join him. He didn't want to be alone for all the festivities. And it was the night before the big day, and Michael and I tried to sneak in to get the first peek of the dress. And we were just giggling like crazy, and we almost passed out in hysterics when we realized that Elizabeth was actually asleep in the bed. We thought she was in an entirely different room. And we had to laugh and sneak out. Then at the point of the wedding, when there was the first dance, basically we had to joke that we were the mother and father of the bride. Yes, it may have seemed very odd to the outside, but we made it fun and we made it real. When he started wearing the glove, I was like, what's up with the glove? I was like, look, if you're gonna hold my hand, it better be the non-gloved one, because sequins really hurt me. He would dig in. He'd just shake his head and he would just smile. He loved to be teased. Seeing him smile made you feel like everything was going to be all right. To the outside world, Michael was a genius with unchallenged ability. To the people who were lucky enough to know him personally, he was caring and funny, honest, pure, non-jaded, and he was a lover of life. He cared so deeply for his family and his friends and his fans. He was often referred to as the king, but the Michael that I knew always reminded me more of the Little Prince. Thinking of him now, I'd like to share a passage from the book. What moves me so deeply about this sleeping prince is his loyalty to a flower. The image of a rose shining within him like the flame within a lamp, even when he's asleep. And I realized he was even more fragile than I had thought. Lamps must be protected. A gust of wind can blow them out. Michael's sensitivity was even more extraordinary than his talent. And his true truth resided in his heart. As the Little Prince also said, eyes are blind. You have to look with the heart. What's most important is invisible. Michael saw everything with his heart. To his family, his brothers and sisters, Catherine, Joe, and to his children, Prince, Paris, Blanket, my prayers are with you. Michael's favorite song was not one of the countless masterpieces that he gave us, but it was a song that Charlie Chaplin wrote for the movie Modern Times. It's called Smile. And there's a line in the song that says, smile though your heart is aching. Today, although our hearts are aching, we need to look up where he is undoubtedly perched in a crescent moon, and we need to smile.
I saw you at the Michael Jackson memorial, which was an unbelievable day. How did you get close with him?
We were like, I was 13, I think, when I first met him, and we were fans of each other's, and we just immediately hit it off. We laughed so hard. I wasn't trying to get a music career. I wasn't trying to get anything from him, and we just started hanging out, really.
What didn't we, the collective we, know about him?
I mean, people talked about his genius, but I don't think they didn't really know how polarized his sort of life was, insofar as he was extraordinarily a genius and talented, and there was an Arrested Development, I believe, and he was sort of truncated emotionally as a little kid. And
he was a child?
He was childlike, but in many ways.
I think that there was an Arrested Development to a certain extent with him in that way, but we acted like little kids together, and I don't think either one of us in our lives really had the environment to do that safely.
Did you remain friends throughout?
Throughout. He was the first person to call me when my dad got sick.
Wow.
When I had postpartum, he sent me flowers and, all of these things, even though we sort of hadn't had our regular dinners that we used to have on a more regular basis. But he was consistent to the end. And when it came time to his memorial, I had been really out of the public eye with him for a decade at least. And it was his mom who called me and said, I want you to speak.
That's amazing.
And it was because I really thought, this is going to be a cartoon. I'm not going to have it. I'm not going to be invited. I never liked the dad never liked me.
Why not?
I don't know. You'll never really hear me say anything bad about anybody except for that man.
Was he as brutal? Joe Jackson, was he? They said that he took a fork and he scraped it on Michael's face when he had acne. Was he really that bad?
He's not a human being. He's the devil.
Did you see him yelling and screaming?
I didn't, but I saw the after effect, and you just look in his eyes, and it's just. I don't like looking at regrets, but I do feel like it was unnecessary, unkind. He wasn't kind.
Did you speak to him at the funeral or not?
I did. I had a couple cocktails, and went to the part after where everybody met. And I'd already done my speech, so I wasn't nervous anymore. And I sort of downed some whiskey, and I went over to him. I don't know what possessed me. I went over to him and I said, you know what? You never liked me. You never even pretended to like me. I never liked you. You always were mean. And I said, you know what? You know what I'm going to tell you? I was going to tell you, thank you. And he was like, why are you like that, Brooke? What are you doing? And I said, no. I'm going to thank you for your son. I said, because your son changed the world and was my friend. So that's what I'm going to say to you. I'm going to say thank you. And he was just like, and he was gross. He had these young women around him, and
I have to go. I'm Team Joe on that one.
Yeah. Well, I get it. But I don't know what. I was like, I was cocky, and I had a couple of belts in me, as my mom would say, and I didn't know what to say because I didn't want at Michael's memorial to be toxic.
And you didn't want to be fake, though, and just go,
I didn't want to be fake. Like, I'm so sorry for your loss. Bullshit. I didn't feel bad at all.
Did Michael hate him?
I don't think you can truly, deeply hate your parent because you get one of them. I think he was so hurt by him, and I think he was in absolute disbelief. Michael didn't have hate. I think he just couldn't believe it. He couldn't believe how mean it was to him.